This year, we're looking for the entrepreneurs who are going to take us to Travel 0.0. 12 startups pitched today, 6 right now and another 6 in the afternoon after lunch. And of these, 3 will go on to compete in the grand finals. The WiT Startup Pitch 2021 is powered by Amadeus and held in partnership with AWS, which will provide up to $250,000 US in AWS credits and technical support through the AWS Activate program. The winner of the pitch also has the opportunity to present in person during the spotlight session at the Focusrite conference in Florida, November 15th to 17th, 2021. Before we go ahead, I'd like to sincerely thank the judges who took us from the preliminary round to this current semi-final round. Many of you generously gave your time to coach the startups in preparation to get us here. During the competition, 4 minutes will be given to each of the startups to make their pitch, at the end of which time a bell will sound. I will cut them off. Following that, 3 minutes are allocated for questions by our dragons, or if Fritz has his way, maybe we should call them our kings. Either way, at the end of Q&A, they will again hear the bell. This ends their time and moves us on to the next startup. So let's welcome our 3 kings for this round. Johnny Thorson, Kang Win Chu, David Peller, welcome. To the audience and to the people tuning in virtually, you will have a chance to vote for your people's choice at the end of the day, after all 12 startups have presented. So please go to the poll tab on the virtual platform and put in your vote. All right, let's get started. The first entrepreneur we're happy to see is Naor Amir, pitching for City Guide. Naor, whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everybody. My name is Naor Amir, and I'm co-founder and CEO of City Guide, where we use AR technology to show you around the world. Next slide. A bit of background about who we are. I worked for years on some of the world's most advanced augmented reality technologies at companies like Magic Leap and Facebook. My co-founder is Pauline Feder. She's a travel and event industry professional with over 30 years of experience in the industry at companies like Amadeus, South African Airways, and Frosh. Arturo Marufo works on our software development and brings with him years of experience in AR and VR development as well. And additional to our team, we're supported by some awesome distinguished leaders in both the event and technology industries. Next slide. So, when was the last time you were in a new city or at a new event with questions about where and how to get around? Today's travelers spend days doing research and juggle way too many options for local guidance. The days of tourist bureaus, outdated travel books, or expensive personal guides being our only option for local information are long gone. Today's young travelers want instant access to digital guidance. To do that effectively, we need to embrace new technologies. Next slide, please. Enter City Guide. We use a simple process to turn real-life people into virtual guides. Our guides can be found anywhere in the world, are COVID-friendly, can speak multiple languages, and best of all, they're never booked to capacity. So whether you're new to a city or just looking for a fun experience, you can find our AR guides at points of interest scattered across town. Get the most important updates and information about an event, and don't miss out on discounts and promotions. Best of all, City Guide's AR athletes and VIP guides will also stage for photo opportunities to be shared on social media. Next slide, please. Because of our time in the industry, we know that AR technology is finally beginning to mature. Today, there are millions more AR-capable smartphones in use compared to just a few years ago. Additionally, COVID has accelerated digitization of travel and major events, creating the perfect opportunity for AR solutions. People are more open today to embracing new technologies in the wake of the pandemic. And finally, there's a new kind of traveler in town. It's no secret that younger generations communicate digitally, and there's no reason to believe that won't apply when traveling or attending new events. Next slide. Our technology can be applied in thousands of cities, stadiums, conferences, and museums across the globe, adding up to a multi-billion-dollar total addressable market. As we already mentioned, COVID has massively accelerated digitization across many of these fields, adding even more fuel to an already large fire. Next slide, please. City Guide differs from competitors by using real-world guides with customized and relevant content. By combining our tech with a fully equipped studio, we can turn around personalized content in record time, making our experience more relevant and engaging to users. Additionally, our team brings years of experience and connections from our time at the forefront of the AR technology and travel industries, a must-have for a startup in this field. And lastly, CityGuide has collected hundreds of hours of custom content under our brand's IP bucket by signing exclusivity agreements for all content produced or hosted by CityGuide. Next slide, please. We have three main revenue streams. First, a SaaS business model that allows simple integration with existing applications through our SDK, allowing event organizers to easily offer CityGuide's AR experience to their own business. Additionally, CityGuide is building a guide marketplace where independent content creators can create custom tours of their own cities and sell directly to clients, of which CityGuide just takes a small percentage fee. And an additional source of revenue is location-based AR advertisements, where CityGuide will generate funds by monitoring user locations as they visit new cities and leverage that information for local businesses to advertise on our platform. Next slide. We've run pilot programs in multiple cities and various continents, including with the Ministry of Tourism in Portugal, and voted a top 25 travel startup by FocusWire, the most respected travel research authority in the world. CityGuide is available in over 15 international cities and is constantly growing to new locations and new events. Next slide. So to summarize, CityGuide provides clients with more data, more revenue, and better customer experiences for their visitors. Because at CityGuide, no matter where you choose to go,
your time
we're
is
always
up.
there to show you around.
Dragons, over to you.
Thanks, Otnauer. Great presentation. I really personally like this type of service becoming part of the travel industry. How are you going to motivate guides to go on your platform and create the content you need?
So content creation is our biggest challenge, but I think it's also our biggest opportunity, right? And I think the way we're going to motivate guides to onboard to our platform is through Economics 101, prove that it is profitable for them. A lot of tour guides have seen their businesses really hurt over the past year due to COVID-19. And I think the need to digitize and you know, the ability to provide a tour option that is 100% social distant and you know, always available is something that makes even more sense post-pandemic.
Hi, Amir. Thanks for the presentation. The co-founder of Airbnb was saying that one of the big issue for people today is loneliness. And in your product, actually, don't you think that people would prefer real human interactions with tourist guide rather than augmented reality?
Sure. I think there's always going to be a place for real in-person tour guides. I don't ever think that it'll be replaced. But what we're trying to do here is actually recreate the human-to-human connection. That is why we focus on using real-world guides as opposed to competitors or other ideas that want to use avatars or digital replacements. We're trying to bring people together by bringing down the barriers of COVID, of distance, you know, making sure that everyone always leaves the house with a buddy to show them around. Even if it's a digital platform, I think that can really bridge the human-to-human connection if we do it correctly.
Have you seen evidence so far of your API kind of monthly consumption model? Is the market responding to that?
So we just launched our official SDK and subscriptions just this month, and we've already had 2 companies sign up, and we're actually working on a few other pilots and programs to kick off in the next few months. Just having, you know, making sure our technology stack is there, and now we're, you know, onboarding clients and experimenting in the real world. So we should have some data on that very soon.
So you are saying that your target is millennials and Gen Z. Beside the digital format, what kind of tools do you think that will appeal for this population?
What kind of tours will appeal? Well, I think the beauty of this kind of application is that we could build content that applies to everyone, right?
And that
So if
signals
you're
the
a
end of your
foodie
time,
and you want a culinary
CityGuide.
tour,
Let's keep things moving with Maxim Turiansky, dialing in for Indust. Maxim, whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maxim Turansky, and I'm the managing director and co-founder of Indust, the platform that drives ancillary revenue for travel operators by proactively offering and selling targeted in-destination products when the traveler is at the destination. What are in-destination products? In our minds, these are all products that are consumed by the traveler when they are at the destination. And it could be attractions, activities, tours, transfers, concerts, events, or restaurants. Next slide, please. A majority of bookings for tours, attractions, and experiences are made when the traveler is already at the destination. And to be precise, 85% of leisure travelers decide on activities only after having arrived at the destination. This is where the industry is struggling the most, and no travel company or platform has succeeded in reaching and proactively engaging with the traveler when they are at the destination. Next slide, please. Having seen this gap in the market, we came up with our solution, which is Indust, a unique AI-powered mobile engagement platform for travel companies. Imagine you are having a breakfast with your family or friends and planning your day. And at that moment, you receive a text message from your travel agency with the recommendation for top activities available for you today, all bookable and with mobile tickets. To make it possible, the platform on the front end is based on the SMS or message app like WhatsApp as the medium in the combination with the web UI chatbot. And to be sure, we always have the relevant inventory. On the back end, we have built a database for all in-destination product segments. It all makes Indust not only a great revenue earner, but also a tool that helps customers to have a great trip and feel that someone cares about them. Next slide, please. So how big is the market? In 2019, tourist attractions and activities market turned over around $250 billion US. And what you see from the screen, the forecast is to reach almost $850 billion US by 2024. And also currently only 12% of sales are made online compared to the rest of travel at almost 50%. So we see a great opportunity for bridging activities and experiences online via mobile platforms. And the advent of 5G in years to come will only accelerate the shift to online and mobile. Next slide, please. So our key client segments are online travel agencies, accommodation providers, and airlines. The business model is to share the revenue on all bookings with the client. There is no cost attached for the clients, and the commission can reach up to 40%. How it's possible? Indust can activate up to 6 additional touch points for a client with their traveler. For example, on the day of the arrival, a possibility to book a taxi from airport to hotel or vice versa. For example, the next day, the tickets to local museum or art gallery, following with the restaurant recommendation with the instant ability to book a table for a dinner. Next slide, please. So how far have we come? The platform was soft launched in October with 2 clients on the US market, and I'm very proud to say that we also have already signed 11 online travel agencies from different parts of the world, which you can see on the screen. And this supports our goal to become a global market company. Next slide, please. So who we are? Initially, 2 founders of Indust has over 40 years of combined experience within travel and tech industry. They previously founded a digital travel content producing company called Arrival Guides, which was sold to Lonely Planet. Personally, myself, I'm a digital marketing project manager with 7 years of experience and the last 5 years specifically in travel domain. Our CTO is the solution architect with more than...
Judges, have you got questions for Maxim?
So how are you going to ensure that the messages you send me are relevant for me as a persona versus a backpacker or somebody else that might be the traveler?
Yes, so we're doing a lot of things around AI and how and we communicate with our clients like OTAs to shift and to dedicate some targeted message to the traveler specifically for if we know that this is like a couple, we send them a recommendation which are relevant to the couples. So we always communicate this with the client, and we also try to use the data and to analyze and to predict according to their previous booking experiences what can be relevant for them. And we try to push only things which will be really relevant and necessary and have the probability to be booked while doing a trip.
Maxime, thank you for your presentation and good morning from Singapore. So I'm curious to know, what has been your most significant learning to date in the business, and why was it significant, and what are you doing as a result of that learning? So
the the best lesson was that to see that the industry, the in-destination segment is very fragmented. Yes, and we have a lot of local providers of activities and tours, and the biggest challenge is to make this database, to connect them and to give them the opportunity to be, on the one hand, like to be visible for the big audience, and on the other hand, to customize and to tag and to correctly categorize all the products to be able to push directly the relevant offers to the right traveler. So we try to build the system, like we have the platform business model in mind, where we try to connect supply side, the client, and the end user, and this is what we are trying to do, and what we are investing a lot of our efforts and knowledge in making this platform working for these three parties, and managing the demands and all the uncertainties what can be on that road.
So you showed a lot of logos, which was sports venues, football leagues, etc. What category have you seen as the most successful so far?
So what we see so far is that the outdoor activities and adventure activities they are booming. Not so much regarding the dated events so far, because still it's a little bit uncertain and vulnerable situation around travel restrictions and COVID restrictions. But the outdoor activities, more like outdoor experiences, away from the main UIs, is doing great.
So that we can move on to our third startup, and happy to welcome Janice Souza, pitching for Indie. Janice,
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Janice, and I'm the co-founder of Indie. We are leveraging the tools of e-commerce to build Shopify for travel entrepreneurs. Next slide, please. Many years ago, actually, one of my first jobs in travel was actually as a tour guide. Fast forward to today, and there's still some of the same considerable challenges I had almost 20 years ago. Tour creators and hosts still have to piece together an average of 11 different tools just to market that tour, let alone sell it and deliver it. You can imagine the mess they have to face every day of double bookings, lost revenues, and generally a poor customer experience that they have to navigate when they turn up on that walking or food or photography tour. Next slide, please. Meet Indie. We are building Shopify for travel entrepreneurs. We take all those disparate tools and combine them into one simple stack. We help tour creators and entrepreneurs find customers, manage their incomes, sell to, and engage with these customers. Next slide, please. Our first in-market product is for tour guides. We enable them with smart calendar syncing, so no more missed bookings, no more double bookings, provide discoverability with exclusive sales channels, intelligent pricing models and benchmarking, and centralized payments. Next slide, please. Our users are both established hosts, so the host you might find today in East London delivering the Jack the Ripper tour, and creators on adjacent platforms in the nascent creator economy, like YouTube, Patreon, or Substack. For both, we help connect their travel and tour and activity products to the rest of their business with integrations to places you would expect like TripAdvisor, but also Shopify. And for both, we also help them increase their revenues with our price benchmarking tool. For those entrepreneurs that are new to travel, we help them create travel products, adding new revenue streams to their existing digital businesses. Next slide, please. Indie's model connects that creator supply to demand partners like hotels, airlines, cruise, and OTAs. In turn, those demand partners ingest our white label API to sell our supply to their guests. When you and I check into a property or a cruise, we're offered a tour that's in line with that particular property or cruise's brand via Indie. Next slide, please. We believe there's a huge untapped market at the convergence of the traditional tours and activity space that we're all familiar with, as well as the nascent creator economy, with new entrants in this space growing at a rate of about 17% since 2019. Next slide, please. With over 100,000 invested to date in just 7 months since we founded the company, we built and launched our in-market beta, have users on the platform today across Europe, and integrations live, as I mentioned, with TripAdvisor, Shopify, and Coinbase, just to name a few. Next slide, please. My co-founder and I have led teams around the world. We've worked with leading companies to deliver world-changing tours and tech. We're serial entrepreneurs who are excited to launch a travel company in the midst of the rebuilding after the lockdowns. We know what it takes to ship software for millions of users and are backed by Europe's leading early stage investors. Next slide, please. I'd love to tell you more about Indie and how we view the next generation of travel and commerce. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. That was great. Judges, do you have some questions for Indie?
Hello. Yeah. Yes, thanks a lot for the presentation. Could you elaborate a little bit on what you see in terms of market opportunity, but post-COVID?
Yeah, what we're seeing in kind of obviously these early phases is, it's too early to tell if it's an anomaly or the new trend. But what we're seeing early stage with that kind of disclaimer is that we're seeing entrepreneurs who perhaps left the sector, left travel during COVID, wanting to return, but they're reevaluating the tools that they used before. So perhaps they didn't have a channel manager or a booking technology and realizing that that's now mission critical, whereas before it was perhaps a nice to have. And then what we're also seeing is creators as a general classification in other sectors. So people who today have thriving YouTube channels that are fully monetized, who want to look at travel to engage to have the deepest engagement with their fans or subscribers. And so what we're seeing for opportunity is that tours and activities as a traditional kind of market that we know is continuing to be thriving and growing and is recovering earliest in many markets. And then similarly in the nascent creator economy, we're seeing that that is growing quite quickly with quote unquote in real life experiences, tours and activities being one of them.
Congratulations on what you've achieved in such a short amount of time. I'm curious, what's the biggest challenge you feel that you face in scaling the business from here, and how do you plan on addressing that challenge?
Yeah, it's a challenge I've tried to learn in my last two companies. So it kind of feels Sisyphean, rolling the rock up the hill. I think it's really go to market and scale. This typical user, how they evaluate software and buy software is based on peer recommendation. And so you can spend money on ads, digital ads and marketing, but really how you get to them is through peer-to-peer recommendation and referrals. And so cracking that nut to begin with is just a lot of unscalable things at the beginning.
And what do you think is your best competitive advantage?
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time looking at our competitors, and where we believe there's a gap and where we're trying to fill specifically is building a tool with a simple, easy to understand user interface, because we believe our users want to use this tool and need to use this tool every day, but they don't want to have to decipher complexity, right? They're not necessarily digital natives or this generation of digital natives. And so they need a tool that they can get in and out of quickly, akin to what we see in fintech like Xero or Buffer. And they can do the task that they need to do in under 5 minutes. And it's easy to decipher. There's not software jargon. So that's where we really tried to
takes us
fit.
to the halfway
then,
mark of this first round. Thank you, Janice. And thank you, judges. Next up, we have Kay Rilau dialing in for Kottotsuna live chat. Kay?
Yes, hello everybody, good morning. Chatbots, how effective are they really? 2 weeks ago, Singapore had a good laugh after how Jenny the chatbot responded to a parent inquiring about a daughter possibly contracting COVID-19. But had we been in the position of the distressed parent, we wouldn't be pleased with Jenny's answer, would we? I'm sure we all have had our own disappointing chatbot experiences. Clearly, chatbot is not the answer to giving high-touch customer service. Next slide, please. Another pain point is what The Economist reported. 49% of financial losses experienced by larger businesses are due to language barriers. Next slide, please. Our solution to these real pain points is our multilingual live chat. It helps businesses deliver high-touch customer experience despite language differences. Next slide, please. Our product will be launched on the MBS website from next month. This is how it looks on the guest side. The guest goes to the company's website and starts chatting with the company's customer support staff by launching our widget. Next slide, please. This is how it looks on the staff side. We developed this live chat portal and it's still a work in progress. Next slide, please. Looking at it side by side now, the smartphone on the right is used by a Japanese guest and the portal on the left is operated by the staff. As you can see, languages are seamlessly translated. The guest types in Japanese and the staff receives the message in English and vice versa. Our product does not only translate, it also helps businesses handle inquiries more systematically. Next slide, please. Our product impressed MBS no less. As MBS director Ms. Xu said, by far, we find Kottotsuna's translation technology to be the better one in terms of accuracy. Next slide, please. Studies show that customers are 70% more likely to buy if they're able to use their own language during the transaction. And 86% of them are happy with the service you're giving them, regardless of the cost. Our multilingual live chat may increase conversion and improves customer satisfaction. It can help business cut labor costs and improve efficiency. Next slide, please. Businesses spend over $1.3 trillion per year to receive customer inquiries through mediums that our product also covers. Through our partnerships, our obtainable market is $14 billion a year. Next slide, please. Our subscription fee is $100 per staff per month. Next slide, please. We are confident that our product can help businesses from various industries to ensure high-touch customer service, given that our translation technology is superior. Quick Connect Limited found that Kottotsuna translation is 20 to 50% more accurate than Google Translate or Microsoft Bing. Next slide, please. Multilingual translation has always been Kottotsuna's specialty since our founding in 2016. Next slide, please. Our CEO founder, Genri-san, was also the founder of Japan's first and largest online drugstore, Kenko.com, listed and sold to Rakuten in 2014. He and I met at the National University of Singapore when we were both working on our graduate studies at the Lee Kuan Yew School. And myself, I'm Kay. I oversee the development of the product itself. Genri and I may be setting the vision for our product, but we owe the realization of it to our amazing, diverse team of engineers in Japan. Next slide, please. We have a strong distribution partner in Japan, JTB, or Japan Travel Bureau, which is Japan's largest travel corporation. Presently, at least 150 hotels in Japan are using our flagship product, Kottotsuna Inner. Next slide, please. Thank you, everybody. Let's have more meaningful conversations and build genuine connections.
And right on time. Thank you, Kay. Now let's see what the judges think. Judges, if you have any questions.
So this looks very interesting for a hotel industry, which is short of staff globally. Have you seen a kind of explosion in interest after COVID?
Very much so. And actually, sir, even during COVID, in Japan, we started the product in 2019. And as we all know, COVID hit 2019, latter part of the year. And then 2020 was really hard. But Japanese hotels were so keen on using our platform, our technology, because it provided them the chance to communicate with their guests, not in person. So we tried to avoid face-to-face interaction. So that was really useful. And then we are very positive that in the years to come or next year, when travel is back, this will be more useful because of the translation capability of the product. Thank you.
Hi, congratulations on building a product which seems to be more accurate than Microsoft and Google. But what makes you think that in 2-3 years' time, your product will still be more accurate than them?
Yes, thank you for the question. Definitely, I'm very confident that we will continue to be more accurate than Google Translate or Microsoft Bing because our technology actually combines all the most advanced machine translation engines. Plus, we use human input to even improve it. So we use humans and technology to improve our accuracy. So I don't have doubts about that, sir. Thank you.
Are you supporting other messaging products, whether it's Slack, Line, any of the other channels, or is this only for built-in widget kind of solutions?
Right. Yes. Thank you, sir. We have our own product, right? And we have our translation technology there. But definitely a lot of companies have already approaching us to use just the translation tech. And we're very open to that discussion as well. Thank you.
And which languages do you support or do you intend to support, and how do you intend to scale in terms of languages while keeping the same level of accuracy?
Yes, thank you, sir, for the question again. We currently support 109 languages. And if you would look at our competitors, you'd actually find out that we covered the most number of languages. And for the question, how do we plan to expand? For example, India, we cover one Indian language, but we know that they have a lot of languages. So we continue to research on this and we continue to expand it as well.
Do you have any numbers showing the revenue this can generate for a hotel in incremental sales or in cost savings?
Right. We don't have that yet, but based on research, definitely if a
thank
company...
you, judges, and thank you, Kate. This brings us to our second last startup of the morning round, returning to the startup pitch as a 2020 finalist. I'm happy to see Alice Ferrari representing Kite. Alice, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Being awake at 5 a.m. is probably the next best thing to attending in person. I'm really excited to be here. I'm Alice. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Kite. And I'm here to tell you the hard truth about the problem with airline retail today and why at Kite we're so passionate about solving it. We've built the newest airline retail and distribution API in the industry. Slide 2, please. So I'm going to start with a famous quote said by no one ever. The sad reality is that this cannot happen today. Slide 3, please. In fact, there's no need to point out the key differences of any online shopping experience with booking an airline ticket. So let's dive straight deep into the problem. Next slide, please. So airline retail and distribution is built on layers of complex technology created before the internet even existed. The airline industry is a complex industry, and there is no easy way around it. This technology is actually genius, but no longer suited for the needs of modern online shopping experience. In fact, for decades, airlines and their technology partners have patched the problem up by building layers of functionality on top of what is basically still the core systems from the 80s. They're heavy, they're slow, and difficult to connect with newer tech platforms. It is hindering the industry from innovation. Next slide, please. NDC, which you're all sick to death of hearing about, is essentially the most recent attempt to tackle this issue. It's basically a set of APIs that was originally created by IATA to bypass, partially, airline reliance on the GDSs. The aim, as you guys all well know, was to reduce the heavy costs, but NDC was also designed to develop airline retailing, laying the foundations for omni-channel, for example, or dynamic offers. But unfortunately, through NDC's adoption, it hasn't been as successful as it should have been. It was designed over 10 years ago on technology that was around in the 2000s. So it is essentially 20 years late, and it has barely reached 20% industry adoption. Travel agencies are resisting it. It's expensive and resource heavy to adopt. And now GDSs are throwing themselves in the mix, which kind of defeats the purpose, but okay. And absolutely no one is adopting NDC for their direct channels. So there goes the omni-channel initiative out the window. Next slide, please. Given all this, XML and SOAP APIs from the 2000s are not going to power a modern retail experience to compete with Amazon and Google. Next slide, please. So here we are. Meet Kite, modern technology for airline retail of the future. Next slide. What is Kite? Basically nothing but the most powerful distribution and retail API in the industry. We're actually delivering what NDC was designed to do and more. Next slide. So what's so special about us? Well, we're the only distribution API designed in present technology that can connect directly with an airline's reservation system and convert legacy type messaging into a modern output designed to power new interfaces that can provide a flexible and dynamic customer journey. We're the most cost-effective solution in the market with a lightweight platform that is offered as a SaaS and hosted in the cloud, and it puts significantly less loads on the systems. And the costs are lower also thanks to the fact that the API is replicable. It's been built by people who are from the industry, and it's sophisticated enough to support all the nuances of each airline without requiring any further development work from a travel partner to access full content, not just from one, but from all the airlines using the Kite API. Slide 9, please. Who is Kite for then? The Kite API is truly designed for airlines and travel partners to maximize their partnerships, supporting full product, fares, and functionalities without the massive hurdles of having to integrate with each NDC API or having to access content from aggregators who do not work for the airline. Next slide, please. The Kite API is only the first step. We're aiming to build an entire new retail infrastructure, bringing intelligence and predictability.
Thank you, Alice, for joining us at 5 a.m. your time. Judges, what do you think about Kite's value proposition?
Very interesting concept. What's been your biggest barrier to overcome in the airline IT department as you knock on their door?
Yeah, so as you probably know, selling to airlines requires really long sales cycles, and it's quite a challenging activity. The building the API and then the tools from the ground up has actually been the strategy. The API is probably the path of least resistance. There is a lot of appetite in the industry for adopting APIs or trying alternative NDC APIs, and that's why we've seen the best opportunity to enter the market with the API. And then, as I said, we'll build our way up with more sophisticated capabilities on top of that.
Alice, thank you for joining us again. If you could partner with any company to accelerate your business and its success, who would that be and why?
That's a really great question. So apart from probably a fund with deep pockets, which is what we're looking for, the best partner would be to have basically sort of a friend. We've actually got one now, so we're about to launch with a large travel management company, and that would be a massive use case that we could rave about. And partnering with travel management companies is actually a great opportunity because TMCs have been the most resistant to adopting NDC because so far it's been suboptimal to the GDS product. So a partnership of that case where we can actually show that we have full product, full life cycle, including post-ticketing functionalities and much more sophisticated way for TMCs to cater for business travel and all the options that they require would be a really, really great opportunity to show that Kite goes deep into each integration and can deliver great results for both airlines and travel agents.
Does your solution allow the airline to keep their investment from the NDC history, or do they have to throw that away and start all over?
Great question. There is no need to throw their great NDC investment out the window. And actually, we think NDC conceptually is great. The Kite API can either connect to the reservation system and sit alongside NDC. It can connect to the NDC API and operate as a more modern layer, or it can be taken as an alternative to NDC for airlines who haven't built it yet. It's much more cost effective. And should the airline really require NDC standards, we can put an adapter on top of the Kite API to make it NDC compliant. However, it supports all the functionalities of NDC.
Alice,
it's just more sophisticated.
And that brings us to the last startup that we'll be seeing in this round. Dialing in from Canada, we'll be hearing from Noah Bloom for RunGo. Noah, go for it.
Hi, I'm Noah, right now in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm one of the 2 co-founders of RunGo. Next slide, please. Do you love maps? Yes? No? Maybe? Well, some of you do, but most people don't. This means that when you venture outdoors or somewhere new, many of us have this anxiety about where they're going and how they'll find the place they're looking for. Navigation is a challenge for most people, and this is hurting many businesses. Paper maps are archaic and non-interactive, but in the travel industry, we're still using them. Mapping apps just suck us into our phone screen. and it's not personalized or enjoyable. Next slide, please. What if there were better ways to navigate that involved less tech and gave us experiences we remembered? We've discovered who needs more than Google Maps. Next. At RunGo, we use technology like custom voice navigation and recorded audio and augmented reality to make navigation easier. It's personalized, like having someone give you a tour. Next slide, please. We do that through our concierge web product and through our app, a running app. Next slide, please. About the RunGo app. RunGo is already the most popular running app for creating and finding routes, and then you can follow them with turn-by-turn voice navigation. We've been featured by Apple multiple times, and it's perfect when you travel. Next slide, please. Although we started as B2C, our focus now is B2B in travel. Hotels pay us a monthly fee to create a digital program for outdoor fitness for their guests. They can run safely, hear some quirky local stories, and return on time for their meeting. The number one priority for luxury travelers right now is wellness. Next slide, please. Choose your distance and theme, press start, and put the phone away. It uses no data when you're out. Next slide. One of my favorites is how Kaiulani, the director of Hawaiian culture at the Fairmont Orchid, guides and educates you on hiking and running routes. It's available anytime to guests. Could you please play the audio?
Aloha and welcome to Kalahuipua'a Historical Trail, where you'll see ancient lava tubes, shelter caves, evidence of ancient life, fish ponds, and a view to the past.
Next slide, please. But navigation isn't just running and outdoor fitness. Front office teams use the same mapping platform for local recommendations. Until now, when a guest asks a concierge for recommendations, 75% of the time they pull out a huge paper map and mark it up, but no one wants a physical map. On our iPad app, concierges create bespoke maps for that guest. Hotels also offer pre-made guides, great for short-staffed teams. These two products are being used 1,000 times a day right now at many properties. Next slide, please. RunGo is led by Craig Slagle on the technical side, and I'm Noah leading sales and partnerships. Next slide, please. We support standout travel experiences in around 70 hotels so far with many of the major brands. Hilton just launched across 4 brands in the Netherlands. We are now onboarding nearly every prominent hotel brand.
Thank you, Noah.
It starts with
I look
luxury and then
forward to
trickles
having
down
RunGo
to
in
other brands.
Singapore. Judges, over to you for questioning.
Yes, hi. Thanks a lot for connecting that late from Canada. I would like to ask you, between RunGo, which seems more a B2C model, and the concierge, which seems more a B2B model, can you elaborate a bit on the business model of your company?
Yeah, we had been a B2B company, like I mentioned, like a consumer app. But right before the pandemic hit, we made the transition to focus on the B2B SaaS growth with hotels. It was a more sustainable growth, and we saw that it had much more potential. So that has been our focus. What we learned during the pandemic was this need to migrate so many assets to digital and scale that and make it no touch. So we brought in that level of it and realized that concierges needed that the whole time anyways. So our focus right now is, while we have the consumer app, our focus is really B2B growth with the hotel and travel space.
I guess just to follow up on Kang's question, what is the business model? What's your fee structure?
Yeah, so we're talking about hotels. Hotels pay us a monthly fee for these programs at their hotels.
And so elaborating again on David, because today I think the challenge for hotel is really the challenge in terms of investment or CapEx. So how do you solve that issue for hotels?
Right. Well, a lot of hotels know that they have this need, that they're either short-staffed or they need to migrate to digital, or they've been doing things in an analog way that didn't scale. So Fairmont Orchid is a great example where they had this woman, Kaiulani, who would take people on these guided tours, but she could do it once a week. Now people can do it anytime at their own pace. So if they're hiking or running, that's a great experience for guests. On the concierge side is, if they, in a lot of cases, they're creating these hotel guides, these pre-made recommendation maps. And this is helping with short-staffed teams or how quickly they can respond to these guest queries about what to do beyond the walls of the hotel.
So founders have to ruthlessly prioritize and purposefully choose how to invest their time. So what have you chosen not to do and why?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's really, I guess, the consumer app is, we had some good growth in that space by downloads, but not by revenue opportunity to honor that. And we see that as a B2B company, we have much more potential. So we're really focused on hotels and travel and hospitality.
I don't think we have time to take another question. So thank you, Noah. This brings us to the end of the first round of the startup pitch. Good luck to the startups. Thank you to our judges, and we look forward to seeing you after lunch for the second round.